Cool. Well, I think we'll get started. So I'll probably start by saying hello. My name's Samantha Andrews. I'm Head of Partner Management here at Econocom, and I'm delighted to welcome you to our Jamf Unpacked live webinar, where we will be discussing some of the key takeaways from Jamf Nation Live event that happened about a month or so ago this year. So I've just been given some housekeeping. If everybody could go on mute while we go through this. Just the other thing is, let's just carry on to the next slide. So I'm just going to take you through Econocom as a group. Some of you will know us as Trams, and over the last few years we've been transitioning across to Econocom. And as Econocom, we've been creating solutions to support digital transformation for companies and public bodies over the last 50 years. So quite a heritage. Currently standing at around about 2.73 billion. We're continuing to grow and expand, and I think if any of you have followed us on LinkedIn, you'll notice that we've recently acquired 2 companies in the last few months, one in the UK and one in Ireland, to help facilitate some of our global and local businesses. As you can see, we're across many of the European countries, and we're currently employing something like 8,800 people, which is considerable, actually. We are focusing on our 4 global business lines: workplace, infrastructure, audiovisual. As part of some of the recent acquisition, we bought a couple of companies in AV, which has actually made us become one of the largest integrators of audiovisual products in Europe. In fact, I think we are number 1 now. And all of these areas are then wrapped up in a sort of finance bow that we offer, which is flexible. We've got another person coming in. Which is flexible to you, allows you to consume your products and services, software. We can do software only, as and how you need it. It keeps finance happy as well, so you can budget it. Now, on the next, whilst you all know us for Apple, and I know you know that we know Apple, and Jamf, but here are some of the other tier vendors that we're also working with. As you can see, we are an elite partner of Jamf. One of our team is actually on Jamf's advisory council. So if you've got anything that you want to say that's fantastic about Jamf, please let us know and we'll pass that on. And then Martin can tell the advisory council what an excellent job Jamf doing. But some of the other tier vendors that we are also working with are HP, Quantum, Lenovo, Dell Technologies, etc. So, don't just think of us just for Jamf. However, obviously in this session, this is where we'll be focusing on. So to take you through the agenda, first we're just going to recap the key takeaways from Jamf Nation Live. Then we'll take you through a slightly deeper dive into some blueprints, DDM, ZTNA, workflows, then a case study, some of the customers that we've actually been working with, and then we'll take Q&As from you to pitch to the experts here from Jamf and Econocom. And just to give you an idea of who is presenting, so I'm Sam Andrews. Then we've got Perry, who's our Principal Solutions Consultant from Econocom, been working with us a long time, and I'm sure many of you know him already. And Rochelle, well, she really needs no introduction. She's our Sales Engineer from Jamf, and no doubt you've seen a lot of her before. And she's the person I'm going to be handing over to now. So Rochelle, take it away, please.
Failed on the first animation. This doesn't bode well, does it? Good morning, everybody. Welcome.
You're buffering. It was just a buffer, I think. Just buffering slightly.
I'll find my groove. And for those of you who don't know who I am, yes, I am Rochelle Noel, and probably those who do know who I am are used to this sort of shenanigans anyway. So I am a sales engineer at Jamf. So for those of you who didn't attend, couldn't attend, or have the first time you've heard about Jamf is now, or Jamf Nation Live is now, the why do we do it, and what is it? So the why is easy. the why is we do it because of you as IT professionals and Apple admins. The what, it is a series of single day events that we host where you can talk to technical experts, obviously not an expert in Keynote, but other Apple products, sure, come to me. And our product team where we can kind of deep dive into certain workflows, understanding what's new into Jamf, what's on the roadmap, a bit of an insight into our product teams as well. So it's a great day. So we had our one in London. So it's a global event. So we have Jamf Nation events across Europe, Middle East, the US, Asia and Australia. So we try to keep everyone happy with some of the Jamf love. So the Jamf Nation Live London event was on the 1st of July, one of the hottest days of the year. So luckily our auditoriums had aircon, so we tried to prevent people from melting somewhat. And it was just a great day to actually look into what we have available and what's kind of new to us. So as you can see, there's a lot of things that we kind of talked to and took place over the course of one day. It was very fully packed. And we had the opportunity to really get some kind of finding the balance between what is too technical and what's too high level, right? What's too into the weeds. So I know previous JNLs, we may have kind of like pitched it a little bit too high level because we have to accommodate the whole audience. But this year, what I found was that we kind of went a little bit more technical with a focus of what's behind the curtain, you know, how the magic happens behind the scenes. So every session included a live demo element and all the craziness that ensued. So again, if you did attend and you saw my session, you kind of know what I'm talking about. But this is also a great opportunity for our community to meet the product owners, to meet the creators of these cool and shiny things that we have at Jamf, get some insight into what's going to be coming down the pipe and how we can help you with those workflows. Now, one of the key things I think we kind of needed to focus on for this year was improving access to our products and facilitating that kind of unified approach to the different consoles. We've heard your feedback, we understand it. So that's kind of why we're talking about and how we have talked about Jamf SSO with Jamf Account. We know that there's been a lot of mumblings about it in the Jamf Nation discourse, so we're kind of sort of trying to sort of tackle that head on. And we've all come to expect, that sign-in kind of functionality with Jamf Pro, with the ability to access the latest and greatest features that we have to offer. So blueprints, for example. Now, although we might have been faced with this banner before, where you've got to set up SSO. It's like, oh, I'm pretty sure I have set up SSO. Well, we're utilizing the benefits of Jamf SSO to take us through and move us along this sort of new feature kind of roller coaster of delight, let's say, and how we can kind of access these new and wonderful things. But let's first talk about platform services. So you might actually know what these platform services are already. So you might have encountered them with things like software updates, utilizing declarative device management, or Jamf app catalog or app installers. These were actually designed originally as platform services. So at last year's JNUC, we announced some pretty cool things. I mean, nerd alert, but they're pretty cool. I was like, oh, wow, this is amazing. Such as AI Assistant, blueprints, compliance benchmarks, just to name a few. But I don't want you to think that these new features are just for Jamf Pro. So platform services are kind of like a puzzle piece, right? And as a bona fide puzzle nerd, I kind of like these graphics, but they enhance the Jamf's management product functionality. So we're talking about Pro, School, and Now. So we need to ensure how can we actually give these functionalities to all of our product base. So when needed, Jamf products can connect to all of these services and display their functionality seamlessly within their own interfaces. So these services like AI Assistant, like I mentioned, they operate actually externally in the cloud rather than within these individual products. Now, history lesson a little bit previously, and when we had to try to build out new functionality, so Apple are saying, hey, we're going to give you something new, and we're like, okay, great. Our product team had to actually build that out for Pro, we had to build that out for school, and we had to decide what functionalities we're going to add into Jamf now. Now, as you can imagine, that's utilizing a lot of force behind the curtain to then say, right, we can be a little bit better about how we facilitate these, and hence platform services were built. So therefore, as and when Apple decide to give us something cool, we can then say, we just need to add that into a platform service or build that platform service once. So the MDM of your choice, be it Pro, School, or Now, can actually break out into these platform services and give you that functionality set. So with this functionality of platform services, we can actually get things to you quicker. We're not actually reliant on the update cadence of it being, maybe 2 months in certain cases. If a new key is available, we just need to build it on that platform service. Then the MDM will then reach out and access that. So hopefully we can kind of get you the new and shiny things quicker to therefore help improve your workflows in a more timely fashion. Now, how does Jamf Pro access a platform service? I'll use Jamf Pro as an example. So if we look at these puzzle pieces again, we can see that they're actually connected by these little tabs. So these tabs represent thing you're hopefully all aware of, single sign-on or SSO. Now we're leveraging Jamf Account to provide SSO. So we're using a technology, OpenID Connect, to actually gain access into this environment. So how does SSO actually interact with Jamf Account? So Jamf Account, and I'm sure you all have access to a Jamf ID. If not, then please sign up and register one. Maybe you're just new into Jamf and it's something like, oh, this is the first time I've seen of it. Jamf Account and all the funky things that we're doing in Jamf Account is going to be your best friend. So this is where we can actually access things like your activation codes, licenses, download software, manage your training courses, of which our services and obviously Econocom's professional services are great as well. But you can also, maybe reach out to support if you have any issues. And probably one of the good things as well is enroll in those feedback programs as well. But most importantly for our discussion today, it's where we'll manage those Jamf IDs and single sign-on. Now, also, because we're kind of utilizing as that single sign-on process, we can access quite a lot within the Jamf infrastructure. So Jamf Nation Live, Jamf Nation, the biggest Apple community in the world. If you're from education, like Jamf Educator, Jamf Marketplace, which is a great place to kind of check out to see what kind of integrations we have through Jamf and our third-party vendors, as well as Learning Hub and understanding what and how to facilitate your Jamf journey. But how does it work? So OpenID Connect, OIDC, that's what allows a website or application to access other web apps on behalf of the end user. So you've already used it now, but Apple ID is getting into other infrastructures, as well as I use my Gmail, my Google SSO quite a lot as well. So in other words, it's OIDC that makes these little red arrows work. And that will let the administrators sign into Jamf Pro with the same username and password they're using to sign into Jamf Account. So we're not going to get the whole sort of password fatigue, oh, I've forgotten it. The amount of times I've heard people say, I've forgotten my password, Michelle. I was like, but you just set it up, please. So we kind of make sure that it's like that unified experience, and that's how we can kind of help the seamless workflow. So for now, just think of Jamf Account. Just know that Jamf Account uses OIDC protocol to authenticate administrators to Jamf Pro, and therefore access into those platform services. Now, administrators, they kind of need a specific type of username to sign into Pro, determined by the authoritative service. Why put so many authoritative in this section, I don't know, because my teeth are too big for my mouth, but the authoritative service can be either Jamf account or an identity provider. So because they basically host the username password database. So when Jamf account is the authoritative, it means that it owns the database of those valid credentials. So a Jamf ID is the user account type used when Jamf account is the access into those Jamf services. So hopefully some of you or all of you have been upgraded to the latest version of Pro if we're utilizing it. And we can kind of see the app switcher in the top left of the console. And that actually, I think, is the best representation of why we're doing this. Is if you are utilizing the full Jamf platform, it gives you the access to switch between the different consoles, utilizing essentially your Jamf ID. So again, making sure that we're streamlining that access into the platform and making that experience a little bit nicer. So for those platform services, as I say, AI Assistant for me is a big one. So for AI Assistant, and this is where we go into console. So for AI Assistant, a few months ago, we allowed AI Assistant to be available in your Jamf account. So you can navigate there and see the nice little sparkles. Oh, it's like a question already, goodness. So you can kind of have a look at AI Assistant. But recently on a recent update, and I will use my Jamf ID to get back into my Jamf Pro instance. You can obviously see that this is live. We can access my account on my Pro instance and see that we have the sparkles here as well. I probably shouldn't call them sparkles, but they are for me. Now, what AI Assistant is great for, and I did geek out a little bit because it's a running theme, right? Is we know that there's people out there who are, Jamf 400 trained, but we also know that there's people who are net new. Maybe they're a Windows administrator and they've just been given the Apple fleet to manage. They're coming at this from very different points of view. Now at Jamf, we actually document quite well, I would say. Toot our own trumpet. But it's a way that we have a lot of documentation, okay, on our learn.jamf, on our blog posts, we have a YouTube channel, for those of you who aren't aware. We also have our Jamf Nation, where we can get some feedback and get your colleagues or your counterparts expertise on how to understand an issue and resolve it as well. So we know there's a lot out there. Now, with AI Assistant, I can actually utilize this to understand or get some feedback where it actually scours a lot of things. So one of the key things is never to type in public. So well done, Rochelle. How to make a smart group. No spelling mistakes. No, that's a first. Essentially what we're doing is we're actually asking a question at this point, right? In natural language, no spelling mistakes. It is then reaching out to those different categories. So we're not relying on ChatGPT. We are actually directing our AI assistant to certain resources pools. So be that learn.jamf, be it blog posts, be it Apple documentation or Jamf Nation. And then we can actually bring back information where we're summarizing or creating some key bullet points on how to create a smart group. Now, one of the cool things I like about this, as an engineer, you trust, but you verify, right? So we do give you the ability to have access to the source material that we're gaining from. So as I say, it's curated this response from multiple documentation. And if you wanted to learn more, obviously you can break out into that said documentation. So that's currently available. And I think this will be a game changer for people who are like, oh, I've been tasked with this, or I want to look into something, a workflow. How do I do it? And at least with this, you can have a curated response. It will kind of guide you in the right direction. So as I say, geeked out when this came in, and to get the response, it kind of helps me on a daily as well. So this is our first little dipping of toes into AI Assistant. So I can see value in this, and hopefully you can too. It kind of gives you like an additional admin at your fingertips. and saves you time, right? The amount of time it probably would have taken you to go and find the right article, to curate that and understand it, you can be focusing on other things as well. Now, what is great about this is, as I say, this is our first dipping of the toe. On our roadmap, excuse me, is actually, you're telling me how to create a smart group. And I know it's a simple thing to sort of like query. You'd be surprised how many people I speak to don't know how to do a smart group. But I can then sort of, in future iterations, the goal is to say, how do I make a smart group? Okay, that's great. You've told me the step by step. Okay, I need to make a smart group utilizing these criteria points. Make it so. Okay. Therefore, that AI system will go away and it will make the objects and assets, the smart groups, obviously, to curate that request. Now, if they actually do have a make it so button, that will make my life, but it'll probably be like a go. But you can kind of see how that'd be really useful to streamline and admin, help with that kind of learning curve of the Jamf environment and ecosystem as well. So I really do feel like it's going to be something you definitely should take some time to look into, even if it's just asking something simple that you're kind of like scratching your head about. It's a great place to check out. So AI assistant, definitely a way forward. So I'm going to pivot slightly. So earlier in the year, we had a release of Jamf for Mac. So this saw like a real improvement, I think, to the return on investment by allowing you to tap into Jamf's individual product set, so Pro, Connect and Protect, but actually harnessing Jamf as a platform to get your functionality and features. So with Jamf for Mac, for those of you who may not be aware of it, and if you aren't, then reach out to Econocom and they can kind of give you some more details. It's actually just focusing on the functionality, right? So it's giving access to management, identity and security, allowing you to fully manage and secure your Mac fleet. So I think the price point in this, I think, is quite good for what it offers you. Obviously, kind of like zero touch compliance benchmarks, which is that platform service. We're looking at access into security toolings as well, be it behavioral detections and remediation as well. So that's kind of looking at that full circle of that manage and secure. I usually call it like a security onion with the different layers that we can kind of add. But you can kind of manage and secure your whole fleet just having sort of one kind of product set. And with platform services and that streamlined access into those services, it makes that whole environment for the admin a lot easier to navigate. And we didn't want your mobile fleet to feel left out, and we fashioned a similar offering. Surprise, surprise, it's called Jamf for Mobile. We're really inventive when we come to naming these things. But we can look at ensuring we can manage and secure your mobile fleet as well. So, I think sometimes we're thinking about your phone, it's like, oh, it's just my phone. It's a mini computer in the end user's pocket, right? So we have access to quite a lot of things. So how can we streamline that deployment when it comes to management, but also security? So maybe vulnerable apps, maybe vulnerable OS indications, zero touch smart groups as well. If you're providing a cellular service to those corporate devices, having a data capping plan, we can then curate that managing and securing your mobile fleet as well. Now, from a security point of view, over the past few years, we have been cross-platform. So some of you may have noticed that, when you're looking at Jamf Security Cloud, if you have access, it's like, oh, hey, there's a little Android person there. From a security point of view, we can actually sort of deploy security solutions to both Apple and Android devices. So helping you apply those protocols to your mobile fleet. Now, I might give you a little bit of, your spidey senses might be tingling because with Jamf for Mobile, we're kind of widening that net. So obviously I was talking about security from a cross-platform position, and you might know us that we're a management for Apple devices. Well, welcome Manager for Android. So it was actually announced on the same day as Jamf Nation Live, so it was a bit of a whirlwind. But essentially what Manager for Android is, it's a tool to manage your Android devices. I know, again, another inventive name, but we can also look at the access. So it'll be available within your Jamf Security Cloud if you have the Jamf for Mobile product set. And it will then break out into a manager for Android console. Okay, so it's a lightweight Android management tool. So you can do certain restrictions, you can deploy managed applications. We obviously support zero touch enrollment, but also open enrollment as well. So it's perfect for a mixed fleet. If you do have a mixed bag of iOS and enterprise Android as well, but also maybe if you have a BYO model. Okay, so you're thinking, well, I don't actually know what my end users have. Can I sort of push out some managed apps to the Android devices if they have them? It kind of just opens up the scope of what you can do from a management tooling. And obviously, you know, because it's through us and we're kind of like doing the Jamf umbrella, you can deploy the security solution to those Android devices as well. So definitely something to sort of bear in mind. Obviously, reach out to Econocom to have those further discussions, and we can kind of get you on that journey if you meet the needs. So, everyone, get ready, gird your loins. So we've had the good stuff. So we've had WWDC and we've had JNL. So you know we've been dazzled with all the sparkles. But we also need to prepare ourselves for when reality kicks in, right? So when Tahoe and 26 hits us in September, October time. And I will always say this to everyone who will listen to me, which is not many people at this point. I would say to sign up to Appleseed for IT if you haven't already. Get a little sneaky peek into all things new at Apple to make sure that your organization is ready for Tahoe in 26. It's a great place to, maybe you haven't looked at WWDC yet, maybe it's the first time you've heard those letters being used in that formation. It's a great way to see what's on Apple's mind, how those different toolings can actually affect you as an organization, and then you can build a plan around it. And obviously, because we go hand in hand with Apple, we have our own beta program as well. So, you know, with all the Tahoe and Appleseed goodness, I would encourage you to pop over to Jamf account, you know, the hotspot, to have a look at the Jamf beta program across all of our products. And it allows you to sort of like, you know, set your sights on understand what Jamf is kind of focusing on, and you can decide what and how to build internally those workflows and be a bit proactive about it. I would also utilize this time, not that any of us have downtime, but before it goes crazy and Tahoe hits us, I would also take this time to maybe have a look at your internal tooling stack. So at Jamf, we're 0 day ready. We will ensure that there's no sort of like drop in performance when it comes to doing the switch, right? That's why we have that relationship with Apple to ensure that. However, certain applications and toolings that you have might actually prevent you from moving to the latest OS. So by understanding what your current internal stack is and seeing, okay, well, that might be a blocker, that might be a limitation, oh, that one's good to go, will help you kind of build out those workflows and understand when the OS updates need to happen. Now, obviously, you know, from an Apple point of view and from Jamf, being on the latest and greatest is the way forward, and also potentially something that's a prerequisite for any like or audits that you have, be it Cyber Essentials, ISO 27001, etc. So understanding what your internal organization is doing and how you can proactively be ready to move to the latest OS. And obviously at Jamf, we're here to help as well. So reach out to us and Econocom and we can kind of help build out some of those solutions going forward. And with that, I will hand over to the lovely Perry.
Cool. Thank you, Rochelle. Thank you very much. Very informative. So yeah, just a short intro from me. So for those who don't know me, I'm Perry Driscoll. I am one of the principal solutions consultants at Econocom. So yeah, kind of day to day, just helping customers wherever, whenever they need, really. And yeah, so I just wanted to go over a few key takeaways from JNL, which sort of amongst the team kind of stuck out to us. So one of them, the first one, is the Jamf blueprints. So a lot of you may be familiar with these, you may already be playing around with them. So they were officially launched back in 11.15. So they've been around for a few iterations now. So they combine configurations, profiles, and restrictions into a unified workflow for easy device management. So they are built for the new Apple DDM framework. So they're designed to fully leverage Apple's DDM, allowing devices to apply configurations locally without constant server contact. So previously, an MDM command would be thrown to a device, and that device may decide to check in and reply instantly. It may sit there for a while, but DDM can set sort of kind of requirements. So a certain time has to be set, a certain setting has to be on that device, and it has to then report back to Jamf. So there's a nice kind of solid framework there now. So dynamic configuration profiles. Admins can now access and configure any MDM or DDM key, offering greater customizations and speed in deployments. So both kind of config profiles and DDM are being merged into the same blueprint stack. So simplifying scale and compliance. Blueprint streamline large-scale device rollouts and simplify compliance through declarative configurations. And the future vision. So Jamf is planning to make blueprints more intelligent and modular, allowing for reusable configuration components and automated logic that adapts to user roles, device state, or risk posture. So already within the current blueprint stack, you have a lot more DDM software update features. So you may have been struggling with software updates for a while and getting frustrated with kind of MDM commands not quite checking in when they should. So now within blueprints, there is a stack of software update commands, which are all DDM based. So they're a lot more robust now. With DDM, I'm not sure if any of you are aware of concepts.jamf.com, but there is a tool called DDM Explorer. So this will go hand in hand with blueprints in the future. So DDM Explorer basically is an application from Jamf, lists out all of the DDM commands. So what you can do within DDM Explorer, and what you will be able to do in the future, is to basically build out your blueprints locally on your Mac through DDM Explorer, and you can upload that config to Jamf and build out your own custom blueprints. And that will also include config profiles. So these are going to be rolled into blueprints. There are some that are already available within blueprints. So this integration with blueprints allows Jamf to deliver new and changed Apple payloads and keys as soon as Apple releases them, allowing you to implement these settings quickly and with more granular control. So within blueprints at the moment, you can deploy config profiles. They are limited though. So you've got AirPrint, conference room displays, domains, lock screen settings, parental controls, restrictions, screensaver user, and a single app mode can all be deployed through blueprints. So moving on now to our second takeaway. So it was ZTNA. So the zero trust approach. Jamf ZTNA enforces a zero trust security model, meaning no device or user is trusted by default, even inside a corporate network. Access is granted based on continuous verification of device compliance and user identity. Jamf ZTNA integrates tightly with Jamf Pro, checking that devices are managed and assessing the device state. So, for example, it will constantly pull the OS version, security settings, compliance settings. So kind of real-time checking that that device is up to scratch and it is up to standard before allowing access to protected resources within your company. So it's secure remote access. Jamf ZTNA enables secure remote access to corporate applications and data without exposing your entire network. So it ensures only compliant devices and authorized users can connect, reducing the attack surface. So no longer are you going through an internal gateway into your network. You're not being tunneled directly into your firewall, your kind of routers and switches and network infrastructure within your network. So it is completely remote access based on device and user access. So you have got with that granular policy controls. So administrators can create detailed access policies based on device compliance, user roles, location, and other factors, providing flexible yet strong security tailored to the organization's needs. And lastly, my key takeaway from this is that it is a VPN replacement. So Jamf ZTNA can replace traditional VPNs by providing secure direct access to applications without routing traffic through a central gateway. So this then reduces your latency and the risk of broad network exposure, which is a common problem with traditional VPNs. So Blueprints and ZTNA were our key takeaways from Jamf Nation Live. We've got some big things for those. But I just wanted to also roll over what Econocom support can do. So you may know Econocom for selling Apple devices. That was kind of our bread and butter for quite a long time when we was trams, but now we've got a full host of different professional services that we offer. So I'll just go over a few of them because otherwise I'll bore you to death with all the different points that we could actually cover. So yeah, just a few key ones. So IT infrastructure management, network administration and optimization, hardware procurement and lifecycle management, modern workplace management. So anything desktops, laptops provisioning, all the MDM management that would touch all those devices, cloud migrations and deployments through AWS, Azure, Google Cloud, and virtual desktop management as well. So network and connectivity solutions. So we offer a wide range of networking solutions as well. So Wi-Fi, LAN, design and maintenance, VPN and remote access solutions, and also VoIP communication supports. And also we have a help desk and a technical support team. So we've got remote help desk who offer a ticketing system and remote help for end users. We offer on-site IT support when required. This could be kind of backfill for technical resources and engineers on site, or it could be professional service days when required for project work. End user device troubleshooting. So anything we can look at your PCs, laptops, servers, mobile devices, any of that kind of thing. And a ticketing system all based on SLAs. And so wrapping around all of that professional service, just wanted to quickly talk about a case study that we did quite a while ago now. So we were looking at a large UK pub chain and hospitality management. So they already had iPads deployed for kind of kitchen staff, front end desk booking systems. However, there were challenges with their existing setup, particularly around device management and employee flexibility. So the challenge for us, so the company had several key issues that they wanted to tackle. Their remote workforce was limited to Chromebooks, which lacked enterprise level management and productivity tools. There was no centralized management in place. A small IT team of just 4 engineers had to manually configure each device before it was issued, which was time consuming and ineffective, especially for remote deployments. And employees had no flexibility in choosing the device, which kind of negatively affected kind of satisfaction and productivity, and also limited the kind of application stack that was offered. So the solution was to address the challenges and on their existing infrastructure, we leveraged Jamf, which was already deployed and managing their iPads. We deployed Macs via Jamf, so we could enable seamless zero-touch provisioning and improve security. We introduced an employee choice program, so it gave the staff the freedom to choose kind of a Mac device or a Windows device if needed, whichever best suited their needs, really. And so the results at the end of this, so we was able to implement zero-touch deployment, which drastically reduced the IT onboarding time. So no longer did remote workers have to come to a centralized office. They could be remote at home or on site somewhere, and the devices were shipped directly to those users. They were either pre-configured or they were built on site, depending on the kind of need or what the user was kind of requesting. So improved security and compliance, where these were achieved through centralized Jamf management, so using Jamf compliance policies. So that was kind of in touch with some of the Microsoft services that Jamf worked really well with. And also it then gave IT the ability to configure enterprise applications remotely. So there were a few applications that needed configurations and kind of certificates and different procedures that were manually set up and quite sort of task heavy on the engineers, which would take up a lot of time. So being able to configure those via scripts and plists from Jamf and remotely deploy them solved a lot of those problems and freed up a lot of time. So the next steps with this customer and some things that we probably would have done differently. So it kind of ties nicely back into our key takeaways of blueprints and ZTNA. So the customer has an existing legacy VPN product. When they purchased Jamf and the Mac suite, they obviously purchased some Jamf Connect licenses, which now incorporates ZTNA. So we will be looking at ZTNA to replace their VPN solution once they kind of get to that stage in their roadmap. So that's that nice little project to look forward to there. And also we would probably now, well, we are having conversations already around blueprints because they want to be able to kind of give all devices a nice blanket settings, which will be one stack of blueprints, which then we can tie into different stacks of blueprints depending on kind of users, departments, roles, and kind of access and things that they need. So that will open up a lot of opportunity for us. And yeah, kind of looking forward to the future with Jamf and what we can do for this customer in that way. And obviously many more customers. So whoever's on this call, yeah, it'd be brilliant to have these conversations with you all. So that then leads us onto the Q&A. So if there's any questions from in the chats or raise hands, yeah, I will hand over control to Sam. Thank you.
So guys, yeah, please feel free to hand up, wave, jump up and down. I'll kick off with a couple of questions for the panel, if I may, just to make things slightly easier. So if I was to ask both of you, what would be your favourite takeaway from WWDC? Would it be maybe the easy device migration or limit device sign-in to maybe only managed Apple accounts? Perry, Rochelle, I don't know which one wants to take this first, but...
Yeah, I'll because Perry's probably going to steal my favourite, so I'll get in there first.
Go first.
Yeah, for me, I think it's that ease of the new sort of device migration functionality. So sometimes people or organisations are not forced to, but like especially from an iOS point of view, they were kind of like said, oh well, we have it in another MDM, and they don't want to wipe their device, so it kind of put a blocker into us giving them the full, you know, single-ish pane of glasses that they could have from an Apple point of view. So by Apple kind of like opening this up for like that ease of migration, I feel like it benefits the end user and the IT admins in such a good way where they can kind of, you know, obviously choose Jamf as the MDM of choice, to kind of really sort of target those specific Apple fleets and make the experience a little bit easier and not having to go to the rigmarole of like wiping, etc. I don't know, Perry, do you agree?
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, yeah, you stole my key takeaway from WWDC. So yeah, well done for getting in there first and stealing that.
It's not our first rodeo, is it?
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, the managed Apple account changes that are coming in and the ability to kind of limit logins on devices, I mean, that's a great way to go. Definitely for locking down devices, stopping personal accounts logging in, and having kind of a centralized management for Apple accounts now. Yeah, gives you a lot more flexibility, and they are kind of coming into their own now and turning into a nice management sort of capabilities within there now. So yeah, both of them definitely the Rochelle's one that she stole off of me was the highlight.
Was the big one. There's nothing coming up in the chat yet, so if anybody wants to put any questions in the chat, please do. But Rochelle, maybe self-service plus with Jamf, and how does that help organisations?
Yeah. So self-service plus. So we've rebranded the other one, the original, the OG, as a self-service classic. And
like
with self-service plus, we kind of know at Jamf that we have different toolings, right? So we had self-service classic, we had the Jamf Connect menu bar application, we had Jamf Trust, we've got Jamf Protect, all these different sort of spurious things that are dotting around. And again, at Jamf, it's about making the IT admin's life efficient, but also making the end user's life a little bit easier so that they don't have to bother the IT admin, right? So there's no tickets. So how can we streamline that process? So with Self-Service Plus, it's kind of pooling those sort of tools and functionalities into one spot. The end user just needs to go to Self-Service Plus, and they will have the ability to look at the normal stuff, being the applications and tools, scripts to run on device without having to be admin or have an Apple ID. But also the ability to understand, okay, well, I'm logged in as this specific user, my password is synced and up to date. Maybe if they're standard users, you've configured as an admin that they can elevate through Self-Service Plus, so they can elevate for X amount of time. We can also see that they have the ability to see that there's some security on that device, what they can and can't do, right? I think so. We use it internally, and one of our colleagues was like, "Oh, I can't pop in a USB key." I say, "Have you checked Self-Service Plus? Because it will tell you whether that's been forbidden or not." And it was. You can't trust sales, so it's again about giving that feedback to the end user about what's happening on device, but kind of what they need to know to move forward. And when it comes to deploying, we've in the latest iteration of Jamf Pro, we've made that a lot easier now. And if you have Classic deployed already, there's in Jamf Pro settings, Jamf Apps, Self-Service Plus, shockingly, and then there's a button that just needs to toggle on a little tick box, or if you've just signed up, I think it's automatically ticked now, and that will do the uninstallation of Jamf of Self-Service Classic, and then the reinstallation of Self-Service Plus. So from a seamless point of view for the end user, takes about, I don't know, I tested it the other day, about 3 minutes for the end user, and really there's no knock-on effect for them functionality wise. You can also do branding. You've got a little bit more functionality with making a little bit curated from an organizational branding point of view as well. So I do think it's going to be a good thing to do, and we're moving in the right direction by unifying that experience. But also just to highlight, if you haven't clicked the little toggle button yet, it's going to be deprecated. Self-Service Classic is going to be deprecated in March of next year. So if you do have any change management conversations that need to happen, I know sometimes the red tape will kind of delay things slightly, it's best to kind of have that conversation now to move forward, to ensure that there's no drop in functionality when it does get deprecated next year as well. So yeah, little, I don't know, pro tip, if that could be, I don't know, but yeah, definitely something to reach out, and obviously to Econocom as well. If you do have any questions or queries about it, we can kind of talk to you more about Self-Service Plus.
Thank you, Rochelle. We do have one question from the chat. It says, with the Android support, our little Android man, does this mean Windows support's going to be on the cards for Jamf in the future?
So when you say support,
big question.
So from a sort of network security point of view, we actually do, so anything within Jamf Security Cloud actually supports Windows as well. So if you do want to sort of push out ZTNA, sort of threat prevention, so phishing attacks, etc., you can do that through Security Cloud. Now, if the question is Windows management, then that's putting me in a spot. I would say I would doubt it, but you know, we live in a world that's ever changing, so I would say that we are still best of breed, Apple first, Apple best. And when it is a case where, you know, we have a good working relationship with Microsoft, and by doing that, it's like, you know, they're, you know, obviously it's their tools, right? So like they're kind of fit for purpose for that. How we can integrate and make it as an opaque single glass as possible is how we can kind of probably will benefit the end user. I personally don't think so, but that's not a Jamf stand. They haven't been told any sort of insider information. And yes, don't hold me to it if, say, in a few years down the line,
you
it's
said.
like, well, Michelle told me. So yeah, but yeah, if you wanted to do any sort of network security, then definitely check out Security Cloud, and you can kind of ensure that that's deployed to your Windows fleet as well.
Thank you. That's apparently understood and a great answer. So well done, you. Good stuff. And I suppose, Perry, if platform single sign-on gets, has been mentioned, we've mentioned it quite a bit from the broader Apple conversation. What do you sort of see happening moving forward there?
Yeah, so there was some interesting announcements at WWDC. So yeah, platform SSO has been it's been around for a few years now, but it's never kind of taken off how Apple have intended it. So I think, yeah, when Tahoe comes out, it'll be a conversation to be had then, I think, with what it can do now. So yeah, maybe if you've got Appleseed, if there's any engineers on the call who want to sort of play around, yeah, download those betas. There are the configs are there now. You can play with those in the beta. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see what Apple do release with it. They've been mentioning it for quite a while now, and not a lot's been happening with it. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens come the release of OS 26.
Oh, that's the next our next webinar.
Yeah,
our WWDC one. Right, well, I think that's everything. I don't see any more questions for anybody. If anyone's got a last minute question, please feel free to stick it in the chat. But I would just like to sort of take this time to say thank you for everybody for joining. Thank you to our hosts, Rochelle and Perry, for being fantastic as always. It's been really helpful to have you explain some of the broader stuff, and I think there's a lot more to come out of this, I'm sure, as the months go by. But as Rochelle was saying, people on the call, please, if you want to speak to anybody or have a conversation with Econocom, please reach out. We have a resources session. Sorry, we have a resources QR code showing now, so please take a copy of that, and recordings of the London event should also be available on the Jamf YouTube channel in the coming weeks. And if you don't have that, we'll make sure that comes across to you, and we'll send that out to you. But yeah, thank you very much for joining, and hopefully you'll get in touch with us soon, and we'll have more Jamf conversations. And enjoy the rest of your Wednesday, everybody, and take care. Thank you.
Cheers. Thank you all.
Thank you, guys.